746, back on the BT couch. Joannah Connolly, editorial director of the real estate division of Glacier Media, joining us once again. Welcome back to you.
Thanks very much for having me back.
And it's interesting having you on talking about BC speculation and vacancy tax, because in the last month I thought I just filled this out online, but that apparently was the empty homes tax.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Because documents are about to be mailed out.
Yeah, that's right. What you filled in was the City of Vancouver's empty homes tax, because you must live here in the city.
Yeah.
But the provincial speculation and vacancy tax, everyone who lives in the designated areas, homeowners, vacation homeowners, everyone's going to get letters. You should receive one by the end of February, and the filing, the declaration deadline is the end of March. And these are not like the empty homes tax from the City of Vancouver. It's a separate tax. It's quite an onerous 20-minute online form that you have to fill in, or you can call to have someone help you fill it in online. And if you co-own with a spouse, you each have to fill out a separate form and spend that 20 minutes.
Got to put in our time and do this. Okay, so you also said designated areas.
Yeah.
How are the designated taxable regions determined?
So what you're looking at is if you own a home, even if it's just your principal residence in the Lower Mainland, so that's West Vancouver down to the US border and out as far east as Chilliwack, also the Greater Victoria Capital Region, Nanaimo, Lanцeville, and then Kelowna and West Kelowna. If you're owning a home in any of those areas, you will get a letter. You absolutely must fill out this form, because if you don't, if you think, hey, I'm not a speculator, this tax doesn't apply to me, they will tax you. You have to fill it out to get your exemption from the tax. And 99% of British Columbians will not pay. So obviously the BC government's casting a very wide net here to catch a small group of people who leave their homes empty or speculators that park their money. But they're doing that for a couple of very good reasons, Riaz.
And those reasons being?
So one is that it's no secret that the BC government wants to get a lot more data about who owns homes. So this, of course, is a huge data grab. And the other reason is simply people will not self-declare. They won't put their hands up and say, yes, I owe you tax. So what they realize is psychologically people will fill in a form when they need to get their exemption. So it's easier to get people to opt out of the tax.
What kind of reaction have you heard to this? Because I've heard some on the other side of long-term owners saying that they've had two properties, they've been in the province forever, and now they're being punished for a tax like this. Has it been more favorable, or has there been more resistance? Yeah,
I mean, a lot of those people are very upset, and especially where there are sort of arbitrary boundary lines. So you might have a second home in Nanaimo, and your neighbour in nearby Parksville is not going to have to pay the tax. So a lot of people are talking about the unfairness of it. But of course, you do have to set boundary lines unless you blanket the whole of BC, which, of course, wouldn't work either for lots of different reasons. I think that, widely speaking, the people who are upset about the tax are, of course, the ones that are going to have to pay it, that are upset by it, and also municipalities that are worried about tourism economies, for example. But I also do think that there's still a widespread support, and a lot of people are saying, hey, if I have to spend 20 minutes every year filling in a form to help with our housing crisis situation, I'll gladly do it.
They're willing to do it. So for those that do have to pay the tax, can you quickly, once again, just touch on how much that tax will be and how it's calculated?
Yeah, so if you're Canadian, if you're a BC resident, you will have to pay 0.5% of the home's assessed value. But the first £400,000 of that assessed value is exempt if you're a BC resident. If you're a Canadian outside of BC, you have to pay 0.5% on the full assessed value. And for foreign nationals who own homes here in BC, they have to pay 2%.
So a lot of calculations involved with this.
That's
bottom
right.
line, you said those documents are being mailed out, so we should receive them in the next month.
That's correct.
Okay, and pay close attention to that 20-minute survey application online to avoid that tax. Joannah, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll get you to watch